Good afternoon. It's lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us. I'm down in sunny Cornwall at the moment, which is a bit of a treat. So I'll be doing some filming and so on that I can share with you. But we thought autumn had come, but down here in Cornwall, they've still decided it's summer, which I'm delighted about. And it's wonderful. I will do a proper introduction to Ebe as people arrive. But Ebe Sievwright is joining us today and is going to share all sorts of wonderful bits of information. So let's, while we're waiting for people to come, I will just share my screen with you. Sorry, just letting more people in. Okay, so welcome to our fabulous tea and training episode, all about wonderful polo experiences that you can share with your clients. Obviously, the polo season, very sadly, hasn't happened in this year, so it's going to be even bigger and better in 2021. And I am so happy that we have Ebe Sievwright with us, because if anyone can really share with you the context and some of the history of this amazing sport, but also to really so you can understand what the clients will experience when they arrive at Guards Polo Club. So a really warm welcome, Ebe, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sam. Well, it's lovely to be here.
Now, there's a bit of a sort of bio there, but can you share with us just a little bit about your polo history? Because I think you started at a pretty young age, didn't you?
Yes, well, I'd been riding for most of my life, but I found an interregimental game of polo when I was about 12, I think, in a place called Tidworth, and ironically came up to Guards to watch that tournament being played on, even though I hadn't been that far out of my county before, and then just fell in love with it as a sort of alternative riding discipline or pursuit or pastime, and just really wanted to play it as much as I could.
And you've certainly achieved that, which is fantastic. So just to sort of put it all into context, I mean, the game of polo has been played for, well,
between 2,000 and 3,000 years.
Yeah, okay, even longer than that, for a very, very long time, but very much started in the East, didn't it?
I think so. It's pretty debatable where in the East. Some people, each place will claim it to be their own, but some people point as far east as Japan and China, but the general consensus seems to be that it proliferated mainly in Persia and around there. There are lots of different versions of the sport, and even today there are still different versions of sort of rather more aggressive horse riding sports and tournaments. But I think for the most part it was developed in Persia and then came to become what the sport that it is today in India, Pakistan, around there, and it was formulated by British officers in the 19th century, and they basically gave it the rules, brought it back to England via the island of Malta, which was the second club that was ever formed, the first one being in Manipur. And then in Hurlingham, it was given its official rules in 1887, I think it was.
Okay. And when did it go across to America and South America?
Not long after, somewhere in the 1890s, but some people say a little bit earlier. It was taken over by someone called Gordon Bennett, which is actually a pretty funny kind of tea time television expression. But someone called Gordon Bennett took over some polo mallets from England and introduced it to the States, and there it was introduced to South America, and they now dominate the sport. Argentina in particular dominates the sport, but the main hubs in the world today are Argentina, the US, and here in England.
Superb. But you said a huge number of countries are now playing
Yeah,
polo.
more than 80, over 80 countries are playing. I say playing, some countries like Norway have one field and maybe 4 players, but in general, it's played all over every continent. I mean, it's grown hugely in Asia. It's played a lot in Africa, has been for a long time in Africa, and of course, North and South America.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for that. It's always nice to put it all into context. Now, the UK polo season, I mean, obviously, as I say, we've missed it this year, but there are some really sort of key events throughout the season, aren't there?
Yes, there are 2 what I call Grand Slam tournaments, and one is the Queen's Cup, sponsored by Cartier, which traditionally takes place in May and June, although this year it took place in August. And then the British Open, which is down at a club called COWORTH. But there's lots and lots of tournaments all over the country at every level, from sort of novice to less experienced players, all the way to the best players in the world, who all arrive here in May and stay until about August, when they then leave to go to the next place.
Right. Okay. And we've put a bit of information here about the makeup of a team, but it would be great to hear it from you, because I know you've described yourself that you're more of a defender, I think, but it would be great to hear more about how the players all work together. Have I got that right?
Yeah. Well, this is all good. This information. It is 4 players, and the number 1 is the one who stays in front of the others on his team, waiting for the pass to come up, and then he's got to be the quick one to put the ball through the goal. The number 2 and the number 3 are sort of like the playmakers. They do most of the work in the middle, and then the number 4 is the one who stays behind everybody, and he is the last line of defense, or what we call closing the back door, and making sure that he's essentially like the goalkeeper. But it's a huge polo. The polo fields are huge. I think in one of your slides you've said that it's about 10 acres, but it's a big space. Measuring, if you use yards, it's 300 by 150 yards per field.
Wow, wow. And it's so incredibly quick and exciting to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, very fast once it starts getting to a high level.
And can I say, because I obviously, as somebody who's played at the highest level, is there a lot of deferring to the Royals when they play, or are they treated just like another player on the pitch?
I mean, they're all good players. I mean, Prince Charles himself had a 4 handicap. Just to put that in context, you start at -2, and the best in the world is 10. And there are only 9 10-goal players in the world. So for Prince Charles as an amateur to have reached 4 goals is really impressive. And I think both of his sons were 2 goals each, which is again very, very admirable amateur handicap. But I don't think they have the time to practice as much as people who really love the sport do today. So and then in terms of your question, I'm not sure I would want to be the one to ride really aggressively into one of the princes and knock him off his horse. But I don't think anyone gives them is soft on them. I think they give them a run for their money.
Jolly good. And actually, they wouldn't want it, I wouldn't imagine. I mean, it would be rather
No, far from it. There's nothing worse than being treated with kid gloves.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, thank you for that. To put it into a bit of context. Now we're going to share a video with you, which I hope you really enjoy, because it's Ebe chatting, but showing a bit more about the experience, which he'll then come on and talk a bit more about.
I think we're very uniquely placed here in that we're 40 minutes from London, we're 20 minutes from Heathrow, and we're in the grounds of beautiful parkland of Dorchester Collections COWORTH Park Hotel, which is one of very few, if any, 5-star hotels that offer polo as an activity that you can do as a guest. We also support Guards Polo Club, which is arguably one of, if not the best polo club in the world. I do a lot of the beginner training, and I train young up-and-coming professionals and families. It's a great family experience. It's something that you can do. Our horses are super safe, very responsive, and something we take real pride in, making sure that we have just the right kind of pony for the type of rider with the experience that they have. Nowhere else in the world can you book in for a polo lesson, whether you're a beginner or not, and you can play on the highest quality turf. We also have, as well as this wonderful backdrop of COWORTH Park, we also have a lot of fun, and I've never done an experience in which the whole group hasn't left and they're all smiling, big smiles on their faces, laughing and joking with each other. Everybody gets to participate in one way or another.
It was amazing. I'm actually exhausted now, so it was really, really good.
Absolutely. Very, very nice.
Brilliant. That's great.
Great video. The dog is not included, I'm afraid.
Well, I might be able to bring along Hector for a bit of entertainment. So, can you just talk a bit more, Ebe, about what happens when clients turn up to see you?
Well, I think, well, first of all, depending on what the arrangement is, we'll usually have some kind of welcome light breakfast. So maybe some tea, some tea, coffee, croissants, that kind of thing, fruit, and then just an introduction. So we explain where we are in a context of the property of COWORTH Park, next to the Great Park and Guards Polo Club, and what the game of polo is. So this kind of thing, a condensed or larger version of what polo is and where it's played and all of that kind of thing, followed by a very quick demonstration by a top player. We often get an England player or a top international to come and show us the main kind of movements that you can do on a polo pony and with the mallet. And then once we've split the group, depending on size, into different groups, we'll do different activities with each one that all lead to ultimately learning how to play. So we'll teach people how to swing the mallet, we'll teach people how to ride for polo, we'll teach them some of the rules and the tactics. And depending on the size of your group, everybody does this together, or they're done in different groups, and sometimes those groups might compete in each of the little activities, and then we bring it all together towards the end of the experience with a kind of mock game, depending on how far that group's progressed. And I have to say, in all the corporate events and group events that we've done, everybody is usually ready to participate in that at some level or another. Some people who've ridden a bit more can canter and go that little bit faster, but mostly it's all super safe at a trot or a canter. And then we top that off either by the lunch, if it's a morning event with the lunch, and if that's pre-planned with you and your experiences, that'll be wherever you do that, or at one of the restaurants at the hotel. They've got 2 restaurants, so they're Michelin starred, or we've got a restaurant up at Guards Polo Club, which is also Mosselman's, the royal caterer. So there's a lot of options there, and then again, depending on the choice of experience they go for, they can watch a game. That depending on scheduling and how we've planned that up at the club, or sometimes down at COWORTH Park itself. So there's a lot of options around that.
And do people have to be able to ride to be able
No,
to make the
not
most?
at all. No, no, no. So you can see in this particular slide, they're on what we call wooden horses or wooden A-frames, which is sort of how you practice hitting the ball, because the cane of the mallet is quite long, so you can practice that, and then you just sit on our horses. They're very docile. They're really easy, as we showed in the video, and they move very nicely. So you can basically, anybody at any level, even if they've never even seen a horse, can sit on them, and they'll nearly always be accompanied as well, because we have lots of staff that are there with each of the clients to sort of walk them through it, literally.
I know all of our guests who have spent a morning or an afternoon with you have absolutely raved about it. And one of the lovely things is that feeling of satisfaction, that sense of real achievement at the end of it, that they've gone from point A to point B, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, I think people perceive it to be really difficult, and
yes,
of course to reach a sort of very high standard is a lifetime of training. But just to start and hit a ball around and move around and have a lot of fun is literally something we can get you doing in an hour or two.
Perfect. I think that's it. And we're just trying to break down that perception that it is really tough and really difficult. And as you say, you know, you're going to get to a certain standard, but that it's a fabulous sense of achievement, certainly from our guests. Just absolutely love it. And just a little bit now about the etiquette of polo, and I mean, there are quite a few polo grounds around the country, aren't there, that you can go and watch some great games. So we've differentiated a little bit here between the local and the sort of tournament standard. So can you talk a little bit about all of the etiquette and so on?
Okay, well, I mean, I'm not an expert, but I think this sort of encapsulates it pretty well. I like the well-cut jeans. I dread to think what a pair of badly cut jeans looks like. I would just have to disagree with one on this, and that's white, because you don't wear white jeans unless you're playing.
Oh,
That's the golden rule.
oh,
But apart from that, I think, yeah, smart casual is always good, with a pair of shoes that aren't that are maybe a little bit more practical. If you can blend the word practical with smart, then I think that's a pretty good summary there.
Fantastic. I think a little bit like Henny Royal Regatta for us
Yes,
females, that
100%.
are,
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
But a touch more casual. I don't think you don't really need ties unless you're in any kind of enclosure, which is something that we can arrange. But yeah, if you're in the royal enclosure, for example, or if you're in the Cartier sort of tent, then you might be that little bit smarter with a suit and a tie. But mostly it's just open shirt and jackets, and then dresses is really not my area. You'd have to ask my wife about that one.
Yeah.
But there you go. There's the Duchess showing the perfect example of what to wear.
Absolutely. And talking of the you know, the Cartier and so on, can you talk about a little bit about the experience of going to one of these one of the big tournaments, for the semi-finals or finals and so on?
Well, I think the excitement is from lots of different perspectives. I think people like to dress up, and it's a smart and one hopes sophisticated crowd, and generally the emphasis is on champagne, having a good time, and like a sort of cocktail party out on some lawns.
Yeah.
But as a polo enthusiast, I prefer the matches that are on offer. So it's kind of optional, and people go and they have a good time, but then there's this incredible spectacle happening in front of you or behind you, depending on which of those perspectives you take.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that some of our guests have said they've loved having a lesson with you in the morning and
Yeah,
feeling, you know, really rather good, and then watching the professionals at work in the afternoon is just, it's a wonderful
yeah,
contrast.
it deepens your understanding of it for sure.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very much so. Very much so. But it's I mean it's incredibly exciting, so just wonderful. And as always, this is an idea of an itinerary that we will always amend and adapt to fit your clients' schedules and so on. And Ebe, if he's got the space in his diary, will certainly make it happen to to suit the clients. But there are a number of different levels of experience, so please just ask. And again, just to give you an idea of pricing, as you know, these things vary depending on what your clients choose to do, but that will give you a good feel for the three different levels that are available. As always, all of this information is happily on the website, on the YouTube channel, and so on. And obviously, we'll be sharing the recording of this. But I just want to say a huge thank you, Evie. It's been fantastic to hear it.
No, you're welcome. Lovely to be on here and see this wonderful presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. And next week, we are thinking about your clients who are, well, we're talking to a few who are planning a trip over here in spring. So we're doing a little bit of a Valentine's special of wonderful places to eat and places to go and things to enjoy. So so that will be same time next Wednesday at 5 o'clock. And this week we've got a real treat on Humphreys TV on Friday. I did a fabulous visit to Broadway last week, and the sun was shining, and they were just showing all of the beautiful highlights of Broadway and all that lovely honey-coloured Cotswold stone. So you can see all of that on Friday's episode of Humphreys TV. So thank you again, Ebe, and thank you all of you for joining us. It's lovely to see you, and look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks so much.
Bye, Sam. Bye, Todd, Elizabeth, Brian. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.